I'm in conversation with Priti Rathi, Gupta, founder of LXME, and of course co-founder Anand Rathi, a financial platform dedicated to women. She has over 27 years of experience in the capital markets, commodities, and currency sectors. If I were to put it simply, she knows how to make money work harder than any of us. About me, I'm Mehak Kasbekar. I'm the country head and editor-in-chief at Brut India, helped build it through inception. Brut India is a social media first publisher with over 16 million combined followers. We did 6 billion views in 2024. Before Brut, I was a financial journalist for about 15 years. So Preeti, to kickstart it, I thought if I just talk of pop culture, when we think of shopping, we think of women with a lot of shopping bags. When we think of investing, it's usually a man in a suit, in a boardroom, or having a financial conversation. So to be that, how far away are we? Is AI helping from changing that pop culture image of women and investing?
No, absolutely not. First of all, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me and lovely chatting with you. So no, I think AI is going to, what does AI do, right? AI takes input from what's happening in the world and then processes it. Unfortunately, the reality is that there aren't enough women investors. There aren't enough women CEOs. So therefore, when you ask AI to generate an image of a successful investor or a long-term investor, they'll always show a man. Similarly, if you ask AI to say, okay, show me how, I want to use the picture of a CEO, invariably they'll show a man, right? But I think what is changing and what will definitely change, I think when you ask AI 5 years down the line, show me the picture of a wealthy person, AI will show a woman.
All right.
And I'll tell you why. I'm not saying this just because we are women or, this is a platform for women. But today, women, by the way, own 33% of the world's wealth, right? Which is close to some $95 trillion. By 2030, every year, the wealth in the hands of women is growing by 7% annually, which is pretty much as fast as our GDP and far, far faster than the GDP of the rest of the world, which is a $5 trillion every year. US, of course, is the wealthiest cohort, but outside of US today, Asian women will hold about $30 trillion of wealth, right? And we are a very, very large part of Asia. And therefore, I think with things like, the inheritance laws changing, more money coming in the hands of women, more women in workforce. We were dismal the last 10 years, right? Barring the last 4-5 years, where now the number of women in the workforce has grown very rapidly, right? But therefore, more women earning, the gig economy opening up. So trust me, AI will have a different answer 5 years down the line.
Yeah, it's going to have a different answers. Those are really heartening statistics that you shared with us. $30 trillion in the hand of women. That's like 3 times the economy of the US at this point in time. What do you think has changed in the last 4 years? All these heartening statistics which have come in. And then we'll move to agency that we wanted to speak about. But first, what do you think has moved?
Well, I think the fact that today we have more and more platforms like this, where women are coming together and actually, see, we were struggling with a lot of things all these years, whether it was just, presence, representation in workforce, whether it was gender pay gap, which still continues to be, we haven't achieved what one would have the ideal scenario there. But I think women really sort of coming out, more women in workforce. I think social media and platforms like yours play a very important role in really showcasing the power of, a woman really stepping out of her comfort zone and achieving what she aims to. I think from the, the underlying sort of demographic dynamics are changing as well. For example, the number of single women in India, by the way, today is about 75 million, which is more than the population of UK and Germany put together. Now, that means that there are women who are choosing to focus on their career, step out, go into cities, live on their own. And therefore, a lot of these women are choosing then to manage their money. A lot of the times, without choice, a lot of the times out of choice, which is very heartening. Like I said, women in workforce, and of course, I mean, a lot of the laws changing. I think the Hindu inheritance laws, for example, it's giving more and more, money in the hands of women. Having said that, what's not changing is what women are doing with that money. Whether it is earning money, whether it is inheriting that wealth, whether it is creating wealth. More and more women in the gig economy, so many startup founders creating wealth for themselves, so many women creating companies, right from micro entrepreneurship to, large companies being run by women. But unfortunately, the money that they earn or they inherit is still not being managed by them. And that is why I think the stats that you were saying, that today if you look at the fixed deposits that lie in the banks today, 1/5 of them are in the names of women, right? So that is what, at least by, say Lakshmi, or what I'm aspiring to do, and many people in the ecosystem are aspiring to do, is to change that stat. Where a woman actually has agency over the money that she earns or she owns.
Thank you. That's really important. And if you were wondering when did we have that conversation, it was right before when Priti and I were talking about exactly what is happening. There are heartening statistics at this point in time. But how much agency do women actually have on the money that they either inherit or that they earn? And because we have so many entrepreneurs here, it's very important that we talk about that, the entrepreneurial journey. You've taken that on as well. How do women entrepreneurs look at money and earning money and their entrepreneurial journey different than men? Because you have a lot of SMEs, MSME women as well, right, on the platform?
Absolutely. I think there's enough spoken about access to funding for women, right? And there is an ecosystem being created. And I have to say, I'm a woman founder, and I'll be very candid, it's still not easy. You still get asked questions which sometimes you have to wonder, why am I being asked this question? I mean, for example, I get asked this question all the time, Mehak, that, but why do you, like, I raised funding for Lakshmi, and they're like, why do you need money, right? You come from, I'm like, nobody is asking Kunal Shah why he needs to raise more money. Nobody is asking any successful man and entrepreneur for their second or third venture. So I think while this exists and there is an ecosystem coming together, and I'm very hopeful that especially women founders who've created large companies will come forward and try and solve this for other women. Having said that, I think what women entrepreneurs, what we've seen on an, and at a large scale, is that women are very fierce when they get into the entrepreneurship journey. When they start it, right? They have, the enthusiasm and the need to prove themselves or, make it happen is so strong. But I think the larger percentage, in fact, a large percentage of women actually fall off that entrepreneurship journey. And there's enough data to say that, right? And why does that happen? One of the largest, shockingly largest reason, or the biggest reason, is that women have not planned their personal finances. So they actually borrow money or they raise capital and they start this journey, and then assuming that their personal finances will be taken care by the business that they're running. And sometimes businesses take 2 years, 3 years. If you have external investors, you actually have to validate why you need to draw a salary, why you need to draw money. And therefore, just that pressure of running the business finance as well as your personal finance makes a lot of women fall off that journey. Another interesting stats, women founders do not, like we said, we were discussing this, very altruist. So the first few years, till we don't make money, we will not draw a salary, right? And this is something that a lot of women founders have actually come back and told me, and so we have a very strong network of women founders. And one of the discussions is that men will go and do it. They will draw a salary, but women will not. And 4 years, 5 years down the line, God forbid, given how sometimes you have investors, and you are like asked to step out of the company, you've actually put in effort. You may or may not have equity, but you've drawn nothing over those 5 years. So I think a lot of this goes into really women starting with a gusto and then somewhere realizing. So one of the things that we do in Lakshmi is called idea to execution, which is essentially saying before you get onto this journey, make sure that you have at least the next 4 or 5 years of your personal finance very, very well sorted out. So that's one stress you don't want while you're building up your company.
These are such amazing insights, and I think not spoken about enough when we think of money, especially when it comes to women. We have very little time, so I'm going to segue into some practical advice that you can share with all of us. So, Preeti, what are the top 2 questions that first-time women investors ask your team or you?
So again, very interesting, and this comes down to the difference in behavior between men and women when it comes to managing money. By the way, a lot of people ask me, why does Lakshmi need to exist? Why do you have a separate platform for women? But it's mostly men asking me that question. So I'm quite like, I feel happy, okay, it's the men asking. So I think one of the most important things that women look for is safety, which is a blend of how safe is my money, in the sense not capital protection, but saying, whatever I'm doing with my money, is it going into the right places? And then how can I trust? Like, how do I build trust on you or on the platform? And I think this again is very different to men, because when you have an exciting opportunity, the way men and women build trust is very different. Men will actually put in a small amount of money and say, here, let me try this and I'll see what happens, and then, But women, even if it is 100 rupees, we can go and have, a coffee outside, or we can do anything with 100,000 rupees. We can buy ourselves something. But when it comes to investing money, they will really sort of understand what the money is doing, where it's going, which is great. So, Warren Buffett says this all the time: invest like a woman, because you're making very informed, well-calibrated decisions. So I think that is one piece that we always see. Second, one of the very remarkable differences is women never ask what's the return I'm going to get on the money.
Really? They don't?
No, it's very interesting. And I have asked a room full of women and said, they're all doing fixed deposit. And I said, do you know what is the return interest that you're getting? A lot of women don't know that. They've just put it in fixed deposit because in their minds it's money locked away, kept safe, and of course there is some return coming. But that is the truth, that women are not competitive in terms of returns. I sit in I come from financial services, so I sit in an office full of men and women, and when you overhear conversations between men, it'll be, oh, I got 18% return, or last year I made 14%, and how much did you make? And here's something that's giving you 32% return. Whereas women will always talk about financial goals. They will always say that I want this money to buy me a home. I want this money to ensure that my children's education goals are met. Again, interestingly, both of these attributes are what makes for a great investor.
I was just going to say that's like the playbook, right? Absolutely. Playbook. Is there a point, because I'm sure if you can help us with this, do women start investing later? And is there an age if it's too late to invest?
Well, it's never too late to invest. The earlier the better, but it's never too late. The earlier you start is better. Yes, absolutely true. Again, I think women spend the first 5-10 years of their earning lives in really focusing on their career. How do I, there are too many glass ceilings to break out there. So we are all very focused on saying, let's do this. And the money will take care of itself. It'll happen when, I have enough money, or if I have enough time. And actually we procrastinate that decision, not knowing, and unfortunately we are not taught this in schools, colleges, nowhere are we taught once you earn money, how are you supposed to manage it. And if you knew that you can actually begin with, 1,000 rupees, 100 rupees, as little as that, and you don't need large sums of money or large amounts of time to grow your money. And secondly, if you knew that the earlier you begin, the richer you retire. I'm sure many women would start far earlier. But the truth is that women actually, majority of the women start their investing journey by the time they are 35, which means that they've lost almost the first 10, 12 years of the benefit which they would have got.
Which is so crucial. I think we're completely out of time. You're in 60 seconds, 3 pieces of advice to our audience that probably, 3 things that they're probably doing wrong in terms of investing, or what are usually not so well known.
No, I'm sure, I mean, now, today, a lot of women would know what to do with their money, but the 3 things that we always, I mean, there are 5 things, but I will still say that. I think the first thing that you need to do as women is create your emergency fund. No matter how affluent you may be, no matter where you come from, you need to have your own emergency fund, which needs to rest with you, which is only you have access to. And this is typically about a year to 2 years of your living expenses. That is non-negotiable. Second, get yourself an insurance. Horrible numbers we saw after COVID, 70% of women don't have health insurance. That's going to eat up into your savings, God forbid, if something happens, right? Third, just like you take charge of your physical fitness, your financial fitness is your responsibility. So your important goals like retirement, etc., you have to work on. Nobody else, I mean, you may be lucky to have a great partner, a great father, husband working towards it, but your goals, your life, only you will know how to make your money work better. And most importantly, you know how to do it, right? Like I said, we have absolutely the right attributes to make it happen. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing it.
Thank you for that. A big round of applause for Priti, Rathi, Gupta, please. Thank you, Priti, for that.
Thank you, Mehak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priti and Mehak. Never too late to start investing. Thank you so much. And we'll move to putting spotlight on a startup that's doing some great work. Neha Mishra.